Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. We've made it to the end of the week. Give yourself a gold star, pat yourself on the back. We made it. So I'm Claire Jones, if we haven't already met. I'm an author and small publisher committed to changing the world for the better through inclusive stories and practices. And I am jumping on today to continue my self-published author series where I go over how to write, publish, and start selling your book in a year. If you're joining me, please comment, like, share below. Let us know that you're here. I'd love to know who is watching these. It's always interesting to see who's catching these on their timelines. And today we are continuing with your fourth writing week because we need to set aside specific dedicated time to writing those first drafts because that is kind of the top priority right now, if not building your audience. Those are kind of the two competing priorities that we're dealing with at this point in the schedule. So if you're interested in the full rundown of what I'm discussing, please check out my self-published author 52-week planner. All the details are at linktr.ee/clairjoyance. And yeah, so welcome to your fourth writing week of the year. I mean, you've gotten far so far. And this is on the week basis with the planner. If you're joining me for this series, it's the 27th episode. And it's basically time for another week of uninterrupted focus time so that we can get those manuscripts finished, right? So aim for at least 2 hours of writing, planning, researching, etc. every day this week, or 14 hours total divided over a series of days, depending on how you want to do that. Schedule blocks into your into your calendar for this, and check your word count milestones. That's what our gauge is as we go through this process. And by now, you should have about 75% of your word count goal written. So if your goal is 90,000 words, you should have around 67,000 words written. If your goal is 40,000 words, then you should have around 30,000 words written. So take this week to get some work done if you are missing these goal marks for yourself, these goal milestones. And at this point in your manuscript, you should be thinking about the overarching themes of your book and how you want the different plot developments to build as the narrative unfolds. This applies to fiction as well as nonfiction. You need to gradually build your narrative elements as you go along, start, middle, finish. So return to the outline that you did in week or episode 11 and compare the expected framework of the book that you outlined to the actual draft that you have written. Is there a difference between the two? Is it time for a redirect? Match it up, see what's missing, see what's aligned, see what maybe needs to change with the outline. Maybe you've learned something, maybe you've changed something. So maybe you need to update the outline to reflect the actual manuscript accordingly. So if you're writing nonfiction, maybe you have discovered that you need to explain something earlier in the book in order for the reader to understand how you came to your conclusions later in the book. Maybe if you're writing fiction, you have noticed that there are certain backstory elements that need to be hinted at in the first few chapters so that the character arc over the entire book is clearer, because you need to have those beginning, middle, and end plot points that are mapped to that overarching arc. Wow, I don't know why that did not come out. So don't rush to fix these right away, though, as you're writing these drafts. Just focus on getting the story out of you and the word counts met. Revisions will come later. Just make a note or leave a comment in your manuscript for yourself to go back and check it later. I leave kind of like a breadcrumb trail of comments for myself as I go through my manuscripts and be like, all right, I need to make sure that I explain this earlier on. I need to make sure that I explained it well early on as well. And so it's kind of like editing notes for myself, but I'm not worried about fixing them right this moment. I'm worried about just making sure that I'm noting them as I'm going. So that's pretty much it for today. If you're interested in learning more, check out the Self-Published Author 52-Week Planner. And next time I'll be jumping on to talk about your third self-check-in week. And this is so that we can redirect things if things need to be redirected, or praise if things are going according to plan. These self-check-ins are super important for self-accountability and self-awareness, because you need to make sure that your train does not go miles off track before you notice that it's miles off track. So let's just keep those redirects and those praisings a regular occurrence along the way so that we can adjust and pivot and align on a micro level, not a macro level. So in the meantime, please remember that you all have extraordinary stories inside of you, and I'm rooting for you as you use them to change the world for the better. And I'll see you on Monday. Have a good weekend, guys.